All right, all right. We are live here on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. My name is Tom Dutta, and I'm the host of the Quiet Warrior Show. That's right, I am the Quiet Warrior. And I'm excited to bring to you today an amazing guest. We've just been chatting offline. Before I bring her on, I want to tell you a little bit about her. This is Lily DULAN. Lily, her bio is impressive. She's a psychotherapist with a master's in psychology, creative writing, teaching. She also is a marriage and family therapist and a certified yoga teacher and the author of a new book. And you might see it on the screen there, Giving Grief Meaning. Now, just for a moment, everybody, when you've heard me say the word therapist for several times, don't run away. That doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. For a long time in my life, as you know, I didn't understand the power of having somebody walk with you through your life, and having a psychiatrist in my care team today has been a blessing. And certainly, therapists have a gift where they can help us get through certain chapters in our life. Everybody, welcome to the show, Lily DULAN. Lily, welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me, Tom.
You're welcome. We've just been talking a little bit about ancestry and your heritage. And well, you're over there in Los Angeles, California. I'm here in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. Truly an international connection. And I just want to start by saying to the audience that I was inspired by a couple things. If you'll allow me to talk about me for a moment. My father passed away 3 years yesterday unexpectedly from a heart attack. And today is my 25th anniversary. So it's kind of bittersweet, both emotions. And honestly, yesterday I didn't really know how to feel. And when I got your book, everybody, the book is called Giving Grief Meaning. There were several things in there that just stopped me. And I said, you know what? You need to teach me. So why don't we give it to you and take us back, Lily, to the beginning? Some people go back to their childhood, but where your life began and, what happened and how you got to doing what you do. And then we'll get deeper into the book.
Um, I was an awkward kid and never felt like I fit in really. And as I became an adolescent, really found my way with the other kids who didn't feel like they fit, didn't feel like they belonged, um, and left to college with a budding alcohol addiction. And when I went to college on the East Coast, I'm from the Midwest, fell in love with learning. So that was a blessing. But was always using alcohol to kind of blot out my feelings of not enoughness.
Yeah.
Uh, met my husband in college, and we held each other through life. Really walked each other through life, and you know got married very young. It was the two of us uh, against the world. Now it's the two of us with the world. uh, but and just we were both sort of lost together, and weren't certain that we really wanted children. And then one day I woke up and was like, oh my gosh, my biological clock is running out. And we really began considering having a child. And I knew I needed to, it wasn't as easy as we thought it would be. And I knew I needed to sober up to get there, because I had to go through fertility treatments, and you can't do the fertility treatments passed out drunk. Um, so I got sober, and we had a lovely little baby, Kara, in 2009. And I was sober, new lease on life, had this great, I'd been on a spiritual quest for years and years, going back to the Midwest, trying to find purpose, trying to find meaning, trying to make sense of life. And we had this baby, this lovely, precious baby. had found hope, moved into a new home, and we had our home for 2 months. We're really saying, why had we waited so long? And just getting into the ebb and flow of life. And unfortunately, she died of SIDS at here at home, um, and it was a nightmare, a living nightmare. Um, but after her passing, it was time for me to put my tools uh, as an MFT psychotherapist into practice, to really put my tools as a yoga teacher. I acquired degrees on my search, you know, and but her passing really was the catalyst to really put the tools to practice and really it was either sink or swim, grow or shrink, and I had to choose to grow through her passing. So that's how I came to write Giving Grief Meaning, the
There
book,
it
and
is.
here
Well,
today.
hold it up again. Let's celebrate that beautiful book there. There it is, everybody. Well, I'm going to get you, Lily, to pause now because I want to jump into the story and just honor you. First of all, thank you for sharing your pain. It's being vulnerable on, live stream about something like, losing a daughter at age 2 months to SIDS is difficult, I know. And I've said this to others, and I'll say it to you, that it's remarkable to me. The narrative of my show is about the hero's journey being connected by threads in our story. When you said what you said, I can't imagine the pain you felt. And then I had a flashback, and I wrote a book, and this is in it. It is a fictional fable, but my wife and I, when we got married, we were expecting little Tommy, our first son, and we lost him. Uh, and I remember the feeling at that time and not knowing how to process it. Uh, and it's funny you talked about alcoholism and your struggle with not being enough. That's the story of my back life. My father was the alcoholic, and I mentioned to you offline, he passed away 3 years ago yesterday. And I believe that I went through my life using alcohol just to numb that feeling in my head. And then when I lost my son and other things, I mean, like most people, a lot of the world, they do drink. So I'm so honored to talk to you because we're talking to someone who's gone through this, but found tools, as you mentioned, that are strategies to cope and perhaps make it to the other side. So I want to give it back to you now, and I want you to talk about, because I want people to get this book, Giving Grief Meaning, but certainly I'd like you to talk about those great things in the book. Tell us a little bit more about it.
Thank you, Tom. I just want to say I'm never, I'm not surprised anymore by like the divine connection, the connection, that the beauty that can come out of connecting through loss. And
Yes.
and you mentioned the hero's journey, and really that is a part of Giving Grief Meaning, and a part of the name work is creating a new narrative,
Yes.
um, out of you know out of our pain and out of our joy, out of all of it, creating a narrative for living. So that is right here, the meaning part in Giving Grief Meaning.
Yeah.
Uh, I came up with what I call the name work, and it happened very slowly, very organically. Um, when Kara died, I was knocked way past my knees. Life, everything just shattered. Um, and all I had left really was her name. And we were talking a little about names um, before we began this podcast. Um, so I would hold her name so closely to me. Her name was Kara,
Yeah.
Kara, Kara. And the grief had affected my lungs. I was, you know, spent many hours just on my yoga mat in restorative yoga, walking in the mountains when I could. I couldn't do much else. And out of her name, these qualities slowly began to emerge. And they are: K is for kindness, A is for alignment, R is for regeneration, and A is for action. And these qualities became my North Star. First, I had to learn, we'll take kindness, how to be kind to myself by taking time to pause and regenerate, being kind to myself, putting the oxygen mask on myself. You know, they say when you get on a plane, put the oxygen mask. If something goes wrong, put the oxygen mask on yourself before you can help your children or other people who may need help. So that was my process. And I knew I wanted to do something in Kara's memory, something in her honor. I wanted to shine. I wanted to, the light that was her life, I wanted it to live through me with acts of good. And, you know, that search um, took me to Nepal, to a friend of mine had started an orphanage called the Unadi Foundation. And it was in Nepal that I really realized that I wanted to help other people with their process and wanted to help them use their names or the name of someone they love to move through loss, tragedy, life obstacles, addiction. And shortly after, we founded the Kara Love Project, a foundation in her beloved memory. And this became my work to show people how to use their names or the names of their loved ones to move through life. And the name work is a very evidence based modality. It combines 12-step, it combines mindfulness philosophy, it combines narrative,
Yeah.
cognitive behavioral therapy, and metaphysics. You know, the idea that if I change my thinking, I can change my life. So it's not just about affirming positively, learning to affirm, like breathing in, I'm kind to myself, breathing out, I have the ability to be kind to others. It also beckons me to ask questions, which came from the 12-step tradition, like, when have I been unkind? You know,
Yeah.
when I'm ready to go deeper, all in time, all
Yeah.
in time.
Yeah, it's amazing. I just want to jump in and respond. First of all, I love the story. I love you and what you're doing. Everybody, the name work, it's registered so that Lily owns the IP for this process. And I believe that you need to get the book and just check this out. I'm just going to read something in my notes here. Names hold profound significance. Names of people, places, and objects are how we define ourselves, others, and how we make sense of our world. The name work method teaches you how to assign distinct qualities to each letter in a name or word, and how to create positive affirmations for each letter's attribute. Now, you just told us a bit about that, and I repeated it for a reason because it's a teaching moment. It's interesting because through the last 2 years, I slipped and fell and had a brain injury from an incident. And went through depression and some side effects, and they sent me to CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, and I studied, and I got so excited about the whole thing of learning skills to manage mental health that I went and did a course and became a certified practitioner. Although we can't use that term up here in Canada, so I'm so overwhelmed now with excitement about this name work. So I wrote down on my paper here, and maybe we can have some fun with it because you can teach me. Uh, I take risk. So I wrote my dad's name down, which is ASH. Now his short name is Ash, but
Okay.
his full name is Ashok, Ashok, and that's my middle name or one of my middle names. So I came up with okay for A. I wasn't sure because I think it from what you're saying it has to be a positive affirmation. But he was an alcoholic. There's an A. He was addicted. There's an A. Maybe you can help find something here. S was a shepherd, because what I learned at my dad's funeral is that I had to be estranged for so long till just before he died. But people who were at the celebration of life came up to me and said, "Your father, he helped so many people, and he saved us." So he was going out through AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, into the world giving back. and I guess the last person he really need to give back to with his own son, me. So he's a shepherd. He's finding lost sheep like him and going into their lives. And then H, I put hero because of the hero's journey. You know, my dad took his dark night of the soul when he lost everything, including his family, and decided to go, change. So that's ASHO. I didn't quite get through that in K. So, well, do you mind riffing on that? We got to come up with an O and
Sure.
a K.
I always love a good riff. Uh,
So
so
we, yeah.
now, the when you're working with his name, you can also it doesn't just have to be about him. It can be about you
Oh,
and
okay.
want to see. What you would like to show up, but or you could look at where you two can converge. It can be a way to
Hmm.
connect and reconnect with him today.
Okay. Well,
Uh,
I think I just got the A then. This
okay.
is amazing. So I had blocked it out because of the relationship I didn't or had with my dad on purpose. But I'm an author, as I've written a book. I remembered when I took all this stuff off and found myself that my dad actually wrote a book. He was a teacher at a technology institute we have here. He wrote a book and he went travel teaching electrical trades. And then back, I forgot that he owned a newspaper called the Fiji Canada Times. So he was a bit of a journalist and he stood up for human rights of people. If you follow my work, I really stand up for the underdog and I'm very much about equality. But the A is now author. My dad and I connect on that. It's cool. Okay, so we have author. He was a shepherd finding lost sheep to help them. He was a hero. Still need the O. So we'll get you to keep talking, and when I come up with the O, I'll let you know because you've given me something to think about. So I want to turn it back to you, and I want to read something so you can talk to us about it. Everybody from the book here, and this is a teaching moment. Um, it says, there's one of these here. It says, how to address body image issues, learn self love, and body positive affirmations. Can you talk to us about this the name work, and how that applies to that? I had those issues from a young age as well. And there's a lot of people I meet today who struggle with that.
Beautiful. Um, and although body image problems are painful, it's also a beautiful thing to explore. So when I say beautiful, you know, it's beautiful to connect on that. Our the the pain of being in a body, of having a body, of being human. You know, it's a theme, and there's a chapter in the book on body image, and I address specifically, of course, because I'm female. What is like to be a female in a body, and you know feeling like my body is a commodity, really. That I have to dress a certain way, look a certain way, and um, so the chapter explores that, and it explores just the pain of not enough, of not enoughness again, of uh, lost youth, what that process is like. And we do the name work around body image. So
So would
uh,
that be like taking your own name? So say I struggle with body image, uh, and taking your own name and assigning letters to
yeah,
traits. Is that what you're saying?
well, we can do, I can certainly do that. I can work with my own name, and I can also choose, like, in the book, I did the name work for self love. So I have affirmations around all of the letters in self love. So
Oh, I
we can,
see.
I can be creative with this work. And sometimes, if I am in, say, I have a client, or I myself am in the throes of not treating my body the way it should be. Maybe I'm eating foods that don't serve it. And I'm just not feeling good about who I am. I may not be able to go into an entire name. And the name work allows us me to be creative. Um, so I'm just looking down at my book as I'm speaking because we have a dictionary of qualities, A through Z. So I
Okay.
thought, what do I need? The late author Louise Hay said, look in the mirror, which people with body image problems find very hard to do,
For
and
sure.
and say, what can I do for you today? What can I do for you today? I love you. I really, really love you. What can I do for you today? And it sounds kind of, oh, you feel kind of like, who it? I mean, I know I do, but I can often find what I need, and maybe it's just not to beat myself up if I've not treated my body kindly or have not treated myself with self-love or allowed other people's interpretation of how I look to affect me. I mean, there's so many issues that stem from having this body. So we could really get a chance to be creative with it. My affirmations for self love, if I can read them. Um, S is for soul. I honor the unchanging beauty of my soul.
Yeah,
Um, and then E is for energy. I have a renewed sense of energy and acceptance when I feed my body with love. So I begin to gently affirm for myself um, when working to create a body positive narrative for myself.
I see. So I just want to riff on that.
Yeah.
Fascinating, and everybody teaching moments here in the book, Giving Grief Meaning, which we're talking about. It's the notion of assigning each letter, whether it's in a name or in this case, we're talking about something that Lily defined as self love, taking each letter of that to create affirmations and qualities. I may not be explaining as well as you, but I think I'm getting this. And as I mentioned, my father passed away, and so as we've been doing this, I've been coming up with characteristics with each one of the letters in his first name. And for those who maybe just hopped on now to see the live broadcast, my dad's name was Ashok, Ashok, and 3 years ago he passed yesterday. The first one I came up with was author, because my dad was a writer and I'm a writer, so to connect us. S is shepherd, because my dad went to the AA program to deal with his addiction and was out really looking for lost sheep like him that he could help. And then I got stuck on, H was hero, because
Yes.
people told me at his funeral that he had come back and helped them. I thought he was a villain, but he became this hero. But then I just came up with K, Lily, which is karma. And
Yeah.
so that's a big one, because I live my life now giving back, and karma comes to me. And for a long time in my life, because of my experience with my dad, watching how he behaved, it was always about me, and I was always taking from people, especially when I became a business leader. So karma. Now we're just down to
You
and
forgot
we're
the
done.
O though. Did you find anything?
No, but I promise you, and I'm doing this live. It's a bit stressful, but it's good.
Oh,
Before we finish, I'm going to come up with that. Oh, so that's
yeah.
my commitment. So you're seeing Lily teaching me live here how to turn my dad's name into meaning. So I want to read one other thing here about from your list that's here in front of me. Overcome using the name work. That's what we've been talking about. Framework to overcome addiction, and how, in the face of loss, one can maintain or even discover sobriety. Did you go through the AA program? You talk about 12 steps.
Uh, you know, um, we, I greatly believe in 12 steps, and I think I can out myself and say that I'm a proud member of Alcoholics Anonymous. It's a wonderful
Yeah,
fellowship, but there's 12 steps for virtually everything,
yeah,
and um, it's free.
yeah,
So I highly recommend, there's 12 step for eating, there's 12 step programs for people who have had an alcoholic parent. We think,
Yeah.
oh well, past, then I'm done. But we walk, and as you know, as a teacher and healer, we walk with these. We carry. Uh, we we. It's an onion. The onion has many layers. We
ab-
carry
yeah.
things around. We let go, and then just when we think we've let go, or when I think I've let go, there's another layer,
Yeah.
and that's part of the beauty of my journey. Is
Yeah.
just find those
Well, thank
areas.
Yeah, thank Lily. Thank you for sharing that. I mean, I love the story and the fact that you've told us that. Everybody, just going back to Lily's narrative, to bring it back for the teaching moment. Lily, went through her life, and her life was not what she wanted it to be. There was some challenges with alcohol. There was a loss of a child to SIDS at an early age, and transformed by finding tools. And then writing this book, and in it the name work, which we've been talking about, which is brilliant. Well, my father, another amazing connection. We have never met each other. We didn't know each other, but here we are. And my dad died 3 years ago, but he was in AA for 22 years. And so the 12-step program, and here I'm a child or a son of a youth of an alcoholic, now an adult of an alcoholic. And I never really had something to process or manage my own loss, the loss of my father and family. And I had bouts of using alcohol to numb the wolves, I call it, in my own brain. The thing about what you said about self-worth, we talk a lot about this on my show because many people come on, our business people, but they start talking about this. I want to tell you that when I look at myself in the camera here, what's coming back is not what everybody else sees, but it's a voice of things that aren't good, like you're ugly, you're fat, you're this. Because what I learned in CBT is the things that are put in us at an early age, our brain logs as truth. And so most of what we feel and see of ourselves. So that's why seeing you, and you're confident, and you've written this book, and you're using this name work framework to deal with all those things is amazing to me. As we move to a few more things here, I want to give it back to you, Lily, and just talk to us about now. What are you doing with this work? You've written this book. You've developed the name work. You're married now. And have two children. That's wonderful. What's your purpose now with all this? Tell us about some of the things you're doing.
So my purpose is to shine the light that was Kara's life, and to in her loving memory, to make my life the best life that I can in helping others. So 100% of the proceeds from Giving Grief Meaning actually go to support our Kara Love project.
Oh, awesome.
Is the foundation. It's a 501c3 foundation, founded in her loving memory. And getting out in the world, like during COVID, I've connected with Maggie Lynn, who is the founder of Foster Nation, and a lot of kids here in the U.S. who've been ejected. They get ejected from the foster system at 18, and she helps the kids who have made it to the university or the college level. Many of them were dependent on meal vouchers, and the school as a place of solace, as a place of connection, and all that was gone. So she started Meal Nation, and we helped the kids at one of the colleges. I think it was Rio Hondo College. I'm not sure which specific college, but a local college, um, to get fed. And then I was able to bring the name work. We've had Zoom groups, online groups during COVID, and have been able to bring sessions of the name work to the Guardian Scholars Program, to the kids of foster care counts, which has been tremendously rewarding because, and that's just one example. People don't, I've been, in 12 step, studying psychology, became a yoga teacher, studied with Michael Beckwith of Agape International Spiritual Center. So I've been sort of immersed in this self-help cocoon.
Yeah.
I've been drinking the Kool-Aid. I uh, I signed on early. So it's easy to forget how many people don't have, they haven't had access. It's not that they wouldn't want them, but people just don't have access to these very important tools. Just the idea, just to entertain the idea that I might be, that I'm love, that I am love, that, that the universe is loving, uh, that I can treat myself with kindness, that I can affirm, but I can also feel in order to heal. I'm not trying to bypass anything. The name work
Yeah.
really explores that, that I can feel that place inside of me. Like if I just take a second to breathe, like right now,
Sure.
I can feel into a sense of expectancy. I can begin to trust my nervous system, to trust my internal thermostat, and know that whatever feelings come up, as Ram Dass said, they're all grist for the mill. They're
Yeah.
just all part of that cycle. And I love that you brought up karma, just the idea, that we don't create new karma when we're living in our dharma, and living in
Yes.
our purpose. And here we are in our purpose, exploring and reconnecting. I hope today uh, that you're finding a reconnection with a shock. Am
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
saying
that's
it?
right. Yeah, absolutely. Ash, a
Um,
shock, whatever it is, sounds
I,
perfect.
sometimes the syllable. I try to be. I'm a big fan of Indian culture, so I try to put the syllable in the right place, but sometimes I miss.
You did perfect, and I just want to jump in there and say thank you. I'm looking at across my left here. I took a selfie picture, the last picture I ever took with Dad in that coffee shop where we reconnected, and I blew it up to this 3x2, and it's on my fireplace mantle with a candle, and he's smiling and I'm smiling, and what you've given me is this gift of the name work framework out of your book, and I'm going to ask everybody now to make a commitment to get this book. And by the way, authors, they need to get known, so give it a read, give it a rating. I'll certainly commit when you send me yours to rate it and post it. But I want to say something to you that's heartfelt, that, and you know this, and I've said this, my background is business and I'm an executive, so there is a stigma in that world. Guys have to be tough, they can't talk about weakness. But one thing I've learned, Lily, throughout my career in building business is that everything we do is skill. It's based on learning skills. How do you do strategic planning with your team to build a business plan and company? How do you work through problems? You problem solve. And I came to the realization by doing 10 years of self work that it there are so many skills that I think business leaders, people, anybody should learn at an early age when they're able to learn. If somebody had taught me when I was, 18 years old, that your brain, a lot of what's in your brain isn't true, and that there's a way to put a different meaning to that. If somebody had taught me these life skills back then, my life would have shaped up differently. And this is why I honor all the work you're doing. And I say that in businesses to those who are leading the world, self help is not a taboo subject. Self
Yeah.
help is really learning skills, to get the most out of your life, to spread your wings and be your highest self. Because as we have relationships with people in the world, and let's face it, when we're running our businesses, Lily, the people that are working with us that are coming up, right? How we relate and how we have relation with them, it's going to define who they are as well. So I wanted to thank you for that, giving us the name work, this tool, and this book. So on before I honor you with a few things, I want you to tell us, where can people get a hold of that book, and you can hold it up, keep it on the screen as you tell us.
So we're up on Amazon, Giving Grief Meaning. That's probably the easiest way for most of us to get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
And you can also find me at www.lilydulan.com. We have a website. We have a Facebook group. You can find me on Instagram. And, let's keep the conversation going. This is wonderful. You have we're like soul brother, soul sister. I've got my candle lit, in and I before a picture of Hanuman, which is
Yeah.
all about loving and serving. And so I take that archetype of Hanuman, um, the idea of being of service.
Yeah.
It's
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just that whole word service has changed so many people's lives. The other day, I was doing an interview like this with a gentleman who talked about his own backstory, the same thing. And today, he lives his life in giving back and in service. And he came through a 12-step program as well. And he actually knew my father. So there's so many things that are happening in this time for me that are a blessing. Everybody, I'm going to honor Lily now with some leadership words. I call these words leadership words, but they're words I write down as I am interviewing my guest, Lily. They're not scripted. Nothing we talked about was scripted. This is the first time we met. The first one is the world. You are the world. And you said to me before the show, is you and your husband married, but you are what the world looks like today. You are teacher. You are love, and you are light. You shine a light on me, and I'm feeling so good after talking to you because I was able to take my father's name and create a name work just live here on this live stream. But and now we're going to finish it. So I still need to find the letter O. So my dad's name, Ashok, Ashok. It's my middle name. A is author. He was an author and a writer. S is shepherd, for he went out and found those lost sheep like him and taught them. H is hero. He helped many people. K is karma. He believed through all his 12 step and the pro work he did dealing with his life to serve others, and it came back to him in many ways. I still got to find the O, so help me with that.
You
Ask me
know,
questions of
um, how would you like to try on? How does um how does omnipresent feel? Like the
that's
idea.
that's it. That is it. I look. Let's stop there. That is it. I'm going to embrace that one. It is so funny because when my dad and I reconnected, I mentioned that coffee meeting we had. My dad
Yeah,
said, I want to share this with you. My dad said, I love your book because I thought he wouldn't like it because it didn't quite put him in a good light at the beginning. But he said, I want you to take this story and tell everybody. And he said, I want you to carry on my work through you. So before he left this world, he gave me permission to use his work, his story in my book to share with the world. And so everywhere, everywhere, omnipresent is going to be this mission that I'm on. So that's fantastic. It was almost like his purpose in life was my purpose to get my story out about being a son who came up through that story with a father like that. And then on his side, going out and helping all the fathers and all those who maybe lost what he lost and helping them transform. I don't know if you can feel what I'm saying, but it's just
break
magical.
the cycle. I feel you breaking the cycle through his
Yes.
name, honoring his name and giving voice to the best version that he could have been through your life of service, through the Quiet Warrior show, and through shepherding people, because that's, you know, it's amazing. I don't think it's a coincidence that here we are shepherding people into a new way of being, into a new way of living, into a new way of expressing. And I love how you brought up this the strength and vulnerability, that the paradigm needs to shift. The
Yes.
paradigm that somehow toughing it out, is the way to go. We're seeing now, at least we're seeing here, uh, in the States, what that paradigm has
Yes.
done,
Absolutely. Yeah.
of
Total.
people.
Yes.
We need to
Abs.
bare our soul.
Yes, and you said something about COVID, so I just wanted to bring that to the forefront before we do wrap up. That the other reason why I thought this show would be so appropriate at this time, your book just came out in December, is because COVID. There's been so many people who have lost and are grieving, and this tool of taking the name work. And everybody, if you don't understand what I've said, you just jumped into this interview. Go back and listen to it and get the book. By taking my dad's name or taking a name of somebody, you can process the pain, and you can move through it with new meaning, with affirmations, with new qualities. Uh, Lily, I want to honor you with one more thing, and I don't know if I told you, but this is a surprise that you're being given an award on my show. And let me just tell you that if I move this way, you'll see a screensaver. I know you're on a smaller device, but that is a guy that looks a lot like me there.
Yeah.
What you see here is a what's called a challenge coin. These were created in World War I. That's where the concept came, and I had these minted and hand painted and crafted in the United States. They are coins. The front has the shown. The back of it has a narrative, the hero's journey narrative, illustrated. It comes in a cherry box, and by receiving it, the guests commit to continue to live their story with purpose and taking action to make an impact in the world. Not everybody comes on my show because many won't be vulnerable and many haven't found that thread of their purpose, but you have. There's less than 50 a year that will go out, and by putting it in your pocket or in your house, just know you're connected to, if you go to my show archives, now 170 people around the world who carry these. And so, welcome to the Quiet Warrior tribe.
It will go on my altar. I love that. Thank you
Uh,
so much. And I love the meaning. And I remember reading about the coins, and I think what a wonderful, you know, naming objects
yes,
as important, and naming them so that we can grow and move forward and move
yes.
through.
Thank you.
You know?
Well, all right. Well, it's a pleasure to have you in the tribe.
Thank
And so, on that note, I'd like to just move to wrapping up this amazing interview. And Lily, I wish you all the best with the work you're doing. We are now connected, and I'm sure we'll be talking again. So, everybody, find this show when it comes out. Just remember, we're going to produce a podcast, an international podcast in the near future, and a YouTube premiere video, which will be the video format. Find this show on your favorite podcast channel. Go to Tom Dutta YouTube channel and subscribe so that you'll get notification when we release that show. And live life with passion and purpose, like you hear Lily's doing, and live the life that you deserve and desire. And Lily, thank you so much. It's an honor meeting you.
you. It's wonderful to be here.
All right. Stand by. We're going to end the broadcast.